Yo, even though we've been speaking for 8 minutes at this point, hello.
Hello.
If you don't know, and if they don't know, these are RP interviews. That's what we're doing. I personally do them because I think I can learn stuff from people who I choose or whatever. And like, good RP and like learn about RP, but just to talk about RP, and then like other people like it because I don't know, they like the people behind characters and stuff, that sort of thing. So that's what we're doing. Hooray! Who are you? I guess.
Who am I?
Yeah. Dang it. Well,
I don't know.
I can try and say your name again if you want.
I would love you to, please.
I'm pretty sure it's pronounced PleoMorphicBlue. Yep.
It is. It's PleoMorphicBlue. Yeah.
Leo.
Or just blue.
Okay, but I prefer the other version. Oh, also, before we start, say your character's name.
It's Viessa. It's not
Why?
Viessa. It's Viessa.
Why?
I put the I in there. That's actually the way it's supposed to be spelled and pronounced. I did it because I'm a bit bratty, okay? So I was like, people are going to nameplate me, and they're going to call her Viessa, but her name is Viessa. Yep.
I agree. I think that's a good thing to do. I've seen, people do similar things or like have a completely different name or whatever, but
oh yeah,
it was very annoying personally, no offense.
I don't think you're the only one who was annoyed by it.
And that's because I was like, we weren't like introduced point like 1-to-1 or whatever. It was like a next to kind of introduction thing, like, hey, they said my name, they said your name, cool, I know who you are, right? And for like weeks I was like, I think Roan has an accent, or is it pronounced differently? Because Roan is the only person I consistently heard say your name.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, is that just his accent? I don't know.
No, he was saying it correctly. Two people said it correctly consistently. That's Sandian and Roan. That's because they knew what it was supposed to be. But don't get me wrong, Sandian, for the first like couple of weeks, he's like, okay, how do you say your character's name again? I don't want to get it wrong.
That's dope. Okay, so for realies, the way it works is I have a bunch of questions that are like common and a bunch of questions that are you specific. So first of all, if you could tell me and anyone else who happens to see this ever, how you like got into RP, because the more I ask people, the more strange paths they take. So how'd you get into RP?
Okay, how did I start? So I was watching a streamer who's doing GTA RP, Confused Devil. And from there, I don't know, Markiplier, he's a big streamer on YouTube. I got into GTRP, I think, for like a month. He went hardcore on it. His character, Stan the Waterman, was just freaking hilarious. So actually from Markiplier, I went to Confused Devil. And then I got into Confused Devil's community. And then from there, just kind of started talking to people, getting to know people. And they started doing Conan RP on a very small server that a group of friends, had. So I was like, okay, this looks like fun. I guess I'll get into it. And it just kind of, snowballed from there. I've been doing this for almost 4 years now, almost.
Dope.
So yeah. It's just like getting to know friends and like talking to people, and then we just got into it.
So you've only done like voice kind of RP, even though Conan's kind of mixed?
You mean as versus like text RP?
Yeah, or
just voice. Yeah, I think that it would be. I mean, I've played with characters before that were text-based characters. I think Sandian was commenting last night in your chat about like there is one woman that we played with that she is actually mute, but her character's not, so she would type as if she was really saying it. I got used to that, so it didn't really bother me. It was just you could see the dots above her head kind of going. So I was like, okay, she's writing something. I'll just wait for her response. But it's primarily I've done voice RP.
Record, I can't see the dots or anything because I play without the HUD. So, for the record,
Yeah.
I couldn't have seen it.
It
There
makes
was a
it
lot
harder.
a lot of stuff I missed. I gotta say, but that's
So
cool.
I'm sorry. So you didn't like see anything anybody was typing?
Most of the time, no. I would see it after the fact. Yeah.
Okay.
Because of where I'm from, we didn't do that stuff. So, I just play with the HUD off all the time. I don't like stuff on the screen. I want it to look great when I make a clip for someone. So, I don't normally use them. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. I guess it's just preference.
Well, I definitely started, looking at it more often because of Conan emote sort of systems and stuff like that. Obviously.
Right, and because of Conan, if you go into a large gathering full of people and everyone's trying to talk at once, and people are whispering to each other like across the room, it's sometimes kind of nice to know if somebody came up next to you and said hello, when they actually didn't say it.
Yeah.
Which I kind of appreciate because like 30 people in the room talking all at once is a lot. It's a lot to handle.
I will agree. I think it's a great system to have, but now that I think about it, you say like 30 people in a room. I'm trying to envision this this event that everyone always went to on Atlas, where I spent a lot of time, and there would be like 50 people all doing junk, and I can't imagine all of them RPing through text while the music plays. Like, that would just be insane to me.
Was it easier to tell when somebody was across the room as to compared to sitting next to you in that game?
Only partially. They broke the voice thing at some point, so we lost the ability to whisper, speak, and yell. But we had it at one point, so that was cool.
Yeah, because that's the one thing that I have with this game is you can't tell if somebody's standing right next to you or if they're way across the room.
That's true. There were a lot of times where we were at the tree and people above me would be speaking, and I would be like, where? What?
Where's that coming from?
Yep. So you're a fan of the emotes, it sounds like, and they're a good system to have and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think it all has its own place, to use. It can certainly be overused. I've seen it. Like, really, did you need to type out all that stuff? Well, whatever. But yeah, it has its place.
Okay. That's not a question I think I intended to ask, but whatever.
That's good.
First thing about Conan though. Wait, so GTA, Conan, but you've seen other people. Okay.
Yeah.
Why is Conan so serious, do you think?
So serious, like people, like when.
In my opinion, and I think it's like from other games, we view Conan as like very dramatic and like over the top serious. Is it true? Is that it?
I've played on servers where it wasn't so serious, but they were like a smaller group. I don't know. I've had a mix of it, but I think that the people who generally play Conan RP they're just looking for a little bit more than that. I think, like if you were to go in like people do in GTA and come out with like silly characters, I'm not talking about Barry at all, but he worked though. But I think that it turns people off because they get really into their characters, backstories, and the stories that they want to tell, and I don't know, they get really intense about it sometimes.
That's true. My hat's in the kitchen, okay? I can't wear a silly hat for a serious interview. This is a button-up shirt kind of event, okay?
You could get your hat if you wanted to.
I think it would be hot, actually. The window's open right now because it's like pretty warm.
All right, no pressure.
All right, cool. So, okay, I want to come back to that, I think, the, like, seriousness thing, because I think the backstory and all that stuff is important, but since you talked about backstories and all of that stuff, how do you come up with your characters? And whether it's on a small server or this server or whatever, how do you make characters?
And literally go into single player, into character creation, and I get a look that I like. I'll usually go into it saying I want to play this race of character, and I kind of want her to look like this. And then I just kind of I may have a vague idea of a backstory. I don't do too much of it like when I start, because I like to have my characters develop over time and play off of what other characters add to that. So I don't want it to be too structured.
Okay.
This character I literally made in a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. And I've come up with more of her backstory as she's evolved, and what I wanted to add to it. I had a basic idea of what I wanted to do with her. She was loosely based off of a D&D character I had like 10 years ago, so which I wanted to just bring back. So I had some ideas, but I changed a little bit of the story. But yeah, literally a day, and I was in the server. Yeah, that's about it. I don't go too much more into it. I don't like write things. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Me either. That's how I am too.
I don't.
But
it's just for me, it's more exciting that way because I can just see where it can go, and I can change it if I want to.
Do you think it's? Do you think it's? Let's see. More. Do you think it's more easy, I guess, to have like the more in-depth conversations and more? I guess in-depth is the only word I can think of. Dramatic or whatever. More rich stories if you have a bunch of background stuff, or can you do that from the improv standpoint or start?
I think I've done pretty good with the improv. I'll usually, if a person becomes interested in my character story, which doesn't always happen, like this character, someone took an interest, so I'm like, oh, now I have to come up with something. So I'll think about it for another day or so, and then I'll just add to it, and then I'll come back and I'll be like, oh, I don't know if you really want to know about that, and then I'll think on it, and then I'll have it pretty much in my mind over the next day or so, and then I'll come back and be like, well, this is what happened. I can kind of sometimes pull stuff out of thin air, but it probably wouldn't be as in depth as if I had thought about it for a couple days.
It sounds like you're thinking you're doing the prep work that other people do over time, whereas when I think of the improv, I just make some junk up right there, so
right.
it doesn't really super work for me sometimes. But I don't play serious, so it's fine.
Sometimes if I do it that way, if I don't have it solidified in my mind, I'll forget what. And that's not. I've done that before, where I'll be like, somebody well, you told me this. I'm like, I did. Well, okay. Yeah, no, totally. I totally meant that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oops.
I have a tip for that. Just make a character who lies, and then it doesn't matter. You can say anything you want.
I'm really good at sounding sarcastic anyway, so I'm like, yeah, I totally meant that. Oh, that's definitely where I was going with it.
Speaking
There's only been a couple times where it's caught me. Yeah.
Speaking of sounding, you sound like clean, I guess. I want to say good, but that's not very descriptive because you're I don't understand. But you sound clean voice-wise, especially in Conan. Do you have expensive stuff or anything?
I don't know. I'm glad that it does, because I was kind of paranoid about that. No, I have a Corsair headset, so it's literally a mic on my headset.
Okay. Cool. Dope.
I do have a microphone that somebody gave me for Christmas that I haven't set up because, for one, I didn't ask for it, and for two, I don't have a lot of space on my desk.
Don't worry, they're not watching. Don't worry.
They're not watching. No, I know they're not.
Hi, Mom.
They have no idea. Also, it wasn't my mom, but it was also the thing. Like, just like, why do you get gifts for people that they didn't even ask for? And then they keep asking, "Have you set this up yet?" I'm like, "No," because where the hell am I going to put that? I don't know. But no, yeah. So it's a Corsair headset. That's it. That's
Dope.
about it. But I'm glad it sounds good.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, based on all the range of people I heard through Conan, I mean, a lot of them sound pretty good, but I just wanted to check with you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I've heard some people. I'm like, where are you talking to me from? Like, what universe are you in? Because it's
way over here, like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll let you in a little something. I'm half deaf.
Okay.
So I'll constantly have to reposition my character and stuff like that. So when I have people that are doing that, or they're really soft speakers and like their mic volume for some reason is really low, I'm just like, I'm sorry, I'm really trying to be interested in your character and to talk to you, but I cannot hear what you're saying.
From like just, you don't have to answer. I don't care. Oh, I forgot to do the disclaimer. Dang it. Disclaimer, you don't have to answer any questions you don't want to. If they're uncomfortable or whatever. Yeah, no. Yeah. I just forgot to say it because I had planned to. Anyway, like in one side or one direction, or do you mean just like hard to hear anything?
No, it's just on one side. It's on my right side. So I always usually try to position people on my left side, and I know that, and I do it automatically in game. I do it in life, and I do it in game. But yeah, I can hear really well on my left side, almost no hearing on the right side.
Got it. I did look at the little I guess their channels. I don't know a lot of things, okay? But I did notice that Conan also has the directional hearing kind of thing, but it didn't seem very reliable, I guess. Like sometimes if you're on the left, say, the channels are both sides, so like it doesn't matter from what I've seen, but I also saw it be super directional at some points. So
yeah, like literally if somebody's sitting on my right hand side, I almost cannot hear them. Like if they're completely on my right.
Holy
so I have
snap! Thank you so
What are you
much.
doing?
me? Me?
Yeah.
That was a sub. I wasn't doing anything.
Okay.
I didn't do anything. I was just standing here or sitting.
I was
I'm sitting.
sitting. Totally sitting.
Yeah.
That was odd.
Yeah, thanks for the sub.
Thank you.
Okay. No royalties or whatever for the guests.
No,
Sorry, I don't have
that's
any.
Fine. No.
Yo, which brings me to a new question I've never asked anyone, but I've got this idea going.
Okay. Oh, I feel honored.
So, first, let me start with the typical question that I ask, like, do you act different around streamers since you know that streamers exist and like you're from there and all that stuff, and also, do you think other people act different and all that junk in RP?
Okay, I sometimes forget that people are streaming, which is not always a good thing because I say things I probably wouldn't have said, but my character would say them, so I guess I'm staying true to that. But I don't act differently because honestly, I forget. But yeah, I've seen other people act differently. I've known people who got on just when that streamer was streaming and ran to their house, meted it completely, stream sniped, when they're awake or whatever, so that they can be on their stream. So yeah, I have seen, and it can get pretty bad. I guess I've seen both sides of that. But for me, I don't think I act any differently because, like I said, honestly, I don't remember.
Okay, perfect.
And sometimes I never even know that the person's streaming. Like, I'll find out later. I'm like, oh, they streamed? Oh, no. What did I say last night?
Yeah.
Oops.
Those are the best times.
Poor Barry.
Oh, no, Barry's cool. It does not matter. But,
yeah.
So, that brings me to this question. Do you think you have Okay, there's a plane going by. I wasn't sure if we could hear it. I don't think we can. Anyway, do you think there's do you have like ownership of, obviously you own your character, right? But do you think you have sort of a creator content kind of ownership of the RP that you put out?
What do you mean by that?
For example, so the thing that brought this to my attention and made me think of it, IT is in chat. IT is also a streamer, and he's also branching into YouTube and all of that stuff, right? So
Nice.
we hang out and do junk, and then like there are clips of us hanging out, his character, my character, whatever, that are also on YouTube and stuff like that. And I started thinking, like, if I post a clip or a, you know, on Twitch or whatever of his character, he owns that content, right? Like, he acted it out, he created the character and all that junk. Do you think that is an accurate statement and sentiment?
Yeah, I guess it could be in like many ways, especially if you're doing this as something that's part of what you're making money off of. Or I know people that this is their whole career. So I guess in that case, I would be like, can maybe ask the person, can I do this? Get permission or something like that. As for me, I just do this for fun. So yeah, it's my character, but if like somebody wants to make a clip of it, there's clips of other characters out there, so it doesn't bother me, and I think it's actually kind of cool. I'm like, oh, they got me in a clip, or oh no, they clipped me saying that. So but I can definitely see how that would be, something that's like, this is my character, this is my content, and you know I don't want somebody else making money off of that.
Right, exactly. That's the interesting thing, because like, for the record, I don't make any money off of Twitch, for sure. Even if the people who do donate all the time continue to donate for the rest of the year, they'll never catch up to the amount that I've spent on this stream. So
Sure. Yeah.
like for example, the part where I had been messing with the chicken and everybody walked in and had all those genuine responses, right? Like,
That's great.
that's a beautiful moment, right? That we were
It
all
was
there.
beautiful. It was perfect.
And like, the clip exists and the highlight exists, and that's great. It doesn't matter. Nobody's making any money. But it's on my channel, so let's say hypothetically I put it on TikTok in a way that people can understand, and it goes viral to the tune of 1 million views, and that item is money at that point. Like, the viralness of it would be money at that point. Do you think you would have ownership? Could you say like, hey, this viral thing is part mine, and I was there too, kind of thing?
Yeah, I think that there is certainly, especially in this time that we live in, that could definitely be something that I would have an argument for, and if I legally wanted to pursue that, I definitely could.
I think it's interesting.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy to think about that, but yeah, that's like, that is your content, that is your character. You didn't ask to use that. And I'm not saying that I care, because I don't care, but
Right.
you didn't ask to
Yeah.
use that. So if you do, like, I could potentially come and say, hey, that is my character, that is partially my content, where's my cut? Yeah, I totally, yeah.
I think that is interesting in that it plays into the run at the streamer kind of thing, because if you stream snipe someone over and over, you're in their content, right? So then you're a douchebag, and you're also in the content. Wow.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes. Yeah.
interesting.
Wow, great. Yeah, wonderful for you.
I don't know, it's just something I thought of earlier, and I was like, dang, I gotta start asking people some junk.
Yeah, I
Yep.
really do think that, because I know that other people that I watch on Twitch have made similar contents, or if they're on somebody else's stream, or they're doing something else with them, and they make a clip, like, they're just like, it's okay if you do this, but you need to ask me. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be okay, and because I think that they want to review it and make sure, like, is this anything that I could potentially make money off of? Because it is, I want to get in on it. Okay, but those are people that this is like their sole source of income.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas me, I was like, this is just what I do after work to have fun.
Waive your rights to your content if you play on a server with streamers, because in that context,
Oh.
I guess maybe.
I don't.
Like,
I guess it.
if I walk into NoPixel, nobody knows who I am, right? Just by putting the
Right.
NoPixel thing on my freaking stream, I'm using their advertising.
Yes.
You know, like, so I'm gaining more just from being there than I could provide, I think. But if I walk through like Summit or oh gosh, what's his name? Now I'm blanking on all their names. Anyway, one of the main cop
XQC
characters
or whoever,
or
yeah.
XQC, and like it blows up and that's a clip that people love. Yeah, they're gonna come to my channel too and they're gonna look at my stuff, but he's gonna make more money for sure.
Oh,
off
definitely.
of whatever we do.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
I don't know. I think it's interesting.
And I guess I don't completely agree with that because I don't always look at the Go Live channels. You know what I mean? So I don't know who's streaming or when. You know what I mean? Which is fine because I don't care. But and I guess that is a good point because like you go into the server knowing that there are potentially people streaming at any time it could be watched. But that's also why we have to comply to Twitch's terms of service.
Yep.
At all times, which I probably don't do like I should.
And
but anyway,
don't worry, I definitely know what they are, probably. So we're fine. Yeah.
Almost certainly, I have no clue. Yep.
There's something about nudity in there, I guess. I don't know.
And feet, maybe feet. I don't know. Which you're
I
showing like naked feet on your stream, but
I don't know. Are feet in there? Ooh.
they might be in there. I don't know.
All right. Well,
it could be a thing.
don't worry, I got it.
Okay.
Perfect. I'll just move the sand a little bit. I think to go off of that and stuff, do you think there's a lot more like relationship and sex and innuendo and stuff in Conan RP?
Yes.
Why is that?
I mean, there's servers that are completely almost dedicated to ERP for Conan.
Oh, we know. Don't worry.
Yeah, I don't know what they are, and I've definitely never been on them. Totally never. I'm not. But I think it just goes along with like I don't know, the people that I know that like to do this. I also know some people that kind of go into it just for that. You know what I mean? So sometimes it just kind of leads to it naturally, and sometimes people are seeking it out. How do you feel about all that?
Me, I'm not down personally.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also in streaming this, it's made me think more about like what I am showing and promoting, you know? So like I'm not down for slavery and I'm not down for like hardcore innuendo and sex and stuff, but it does allow me to say, here are my views on it. Here are my thoughts. Otherwise, I would never even like touch it. I wouldn't think about it. I would never say it, you know? So it does, I guess, promote discussion. I guess.
Yeah. I have some really strong opinions on the type of RP that I think that people should never touch. You know what I mean? So
okay.
I guess I can understand that, like pregnancy RP, suicide RP, self-harm and stuff like that. It's just like, why are you even doing that? Like, I get that, you know, maybe you think that your character can progress that way, but you know, as a person, like a real person, that's probably a crappy thing to do. Especially, you never know the background of the person that you're doing it with or that is seeing it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think that people sometimes just need to think about what they're doing.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, we're all adults here. We should be anyway. So just think about what you're doing and what your actions might have. And I understand that sometimes you're going with RP and seeing where it's going, but you can stop that. You don't need to always go to those lengths.
I agree.
I've experienced a lot of things like that, so it's hard to separate for me for that with the in character stuff and not take that to heart or not be like, okay, I'm not gonna play again tonight because I need a moment. Yeah.
Okay, so on that's another thing that I've talked about a lot in the past. How do you identify the times when you should step away or stop or take a break or whatever? Because some people just don't. They never do.
Like from a situation or from roleplay in general?
Mostly from like for example, you obviously if you encounter some subject you're not down for, you're gonna be like, whoa, hold on about this, you know, I'm gonna step away. But even like just burning yourself for 12 hours RPing or something like that, like do you have any tips for identifying I should take a break or that sort of thing?
I get very tired and it starts to show in my voice. I can't hide it. So yeah, if I'm at the point where I'm just like falling asleep on my desk, I need to stop. So I think just pay attention to what your body's trying to tell you. Like, have you gone to the bathroom recently? And you know, what I mean, are you still drinking water? Have you eaten today? Like, these are things that I've had to ask friends who are just like you said, they've been going on it for 12, 18 hours. I'm like, have you walked around at all?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
If
Do
the
you
answer to
think
all those
it's
questions is no, you need to get out of your chair and take a nap or like go for a walk or something.
do you think it's worthwhile to like when you're in a good frame of mind to like set an alarm or tell someone like, hey, let me know at this point or some junk? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, yeah, sure. Like maybe have a friend that helps you out. For me, it's because I do have to work. I'm like, I'll look at the time and be like, oh man, I really should have. I need to stop. I guess I'm okay at setting limits for myself. I wouldn't say great because during some of those Deathclaw like battles, I had to work that entire weekend, and I think I got like 8 hours of sleep for that whole weekend, and I paid
yeah.
dearly for it.
Yeah.
It was rough.
True. On that, it sounds like you've encountered I guess a couple of different situations and servers and stuff. How do you feel about the admin sort of story led kind of server setting thing?
Um, so I do believe that servers need to have some kind of admin guidance as far as like story. I think they went really hardcore this season, which was great, you know, at some points, and then other points like it got kind of exhausting. But it gives players a reason to get on. You know, I mean, you're always going to have side RP and stuff like that, but it does give them a reason to get on. I've been on servers before where there was almost absolutely no admin driven story, and it was okay, but that server's not around anymore. You know what I mean? So
Interesting.
yeah.
In this, we differ greatly.
Okay.
I don't think so, but doesn't matter.
I don't. I mean, this was
The reason I'm asking
hardcore.
you is because you're not me, and I want your opinion. So, when you say hardcore, like, what's a better middle ground, I guess, for the amount of touching admin does or whatever?
I'm sorry. What the admins are gonna what?
Yeah, I know. That was a confusing question to me too. What would you suggest is a better middle ground for the amount of admin involvement in the story versus just letting free for all kind of happen?
I guess having something where there's still a story, but it's not like every single night you're going to have a meeting about going to this thing, and then you're going to go to like kill this thing, and and then when you log in again tomorrow night, there's going to be another meeting to talk about go to this thing and kill this thing. That
Yeah.
seems to be a lot to me. Like I don't think that they need to do it every single day. And I understand that they were trying to ramp it up and trying to get it finished, and there was a lot of drama and people trying to figure things out and arguing, and some things didn't always work, so you had to come back to it. I get that.
Yeah.
but on a daily basis seems like a lot to me. Like maybe, a couple times a week, be like, okay, well, we'll meet up again on Friday, and see how this goes. We'll do some training in between or something like that. But yeah, it was a lot.
I
I
agree.
think that, yeah, it was a lot.
But I had never seen it before, so I thought the whole process was interesting. Just because I was like, "Wow, this is freaking weird."
I think that they worked really hard on it, and I think that it was really awesome that they put that much time into it.
Yeah,
Because I've also seen admins where they were just like, "Here, I put some stuff out in the world, go find it," and then like I'm never gonna follow up on what I did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I come from servers where, well, not Conan servers, but maybe that's the difference because Conan's so aggressive. It's so PvE focused. It feels like. Do you think that's true?
Yeah. No,
How
I
do you,
know that there are servers that are solely based for PvP servers, but that's not something that I'm into, so that's not something I would go for. Yeah.
How do you feel about like stats and gear and all of that stuff?
So I was starting this season, like I came in like maybe a month and a half ago, so I wasn't even like I was just towards the tail end of it, and I was like, okay, I know that everybody else, if they've been on here for a while, they've got the gear, they've got whatever they need.
Yeah.
So I was okay with playing a character. I think until recently, in the like recent weeks, I didn't have like actual armor for her. She still had the starter armor. She still had the bow and the tools that started with back in Clearwater.
No, I don't know.
So
I don't know because I never took them.
You didn't take any of that. Okay, so they.
Nope.
I mean, you could buy them because they start you out. With like 2 gold or something like
okay,
that.
yeah.
So
yeah.
you buy
I bought tea.
So
yeah.
You buy like whatever like weight armor you want. You have the light, medium, heavy, and then you can buy your tools and your weapons and stuff like that. So I just started with the Varium and whatever the basic armor was, and I was okay with doing this character for the rest of the season with just that stuff because I was in a solo clan by myself, so I knew that I don't have the time to grind all that stuff. But
why? Why was Viessa wearing her armor in the bath? Question.
What?
When at the very like end, the last time we hung out, you know how we kept having to log in and out or whatever?
Yeah.
Because of the lag? You and everyone else there, because it shows you were all wearing your armor.
Yeah. Underneath my clothes, is that what you're saying?
Why? Yeah.
Never take your armor off.
No.
You never know what's gonna happen. You never.
Yeah, but your character did. Your character did take her armor off.
Yeah, you can't see that though. You don't know. It's magic. It's magic.
It's not magic.
It is magic. You can't tell. You can't tell that she's got 2 bows and a set of daggers and like 5,000 arrows on her. You can't tell that.
That's the point. You can't tell. It's so unrealistic. I was like, this is freaking weird.
But I wasn't the only one. Everybody had it. When I first started RPing.
Not me. Not me.
No, I know. Barry was all natural. And I love that. I was like, when I figured that out, I think I might have seen your stream where when it finally hit me, I was like, I love this. What you see is literally what you get.
That's how it should be, because all we can rely on is our eyes. Come on.
Nobody's gonna do that. Yeah, nobody's gonna do that. When I first started Conan RP, I had carried 2 sets of armor with me at all times, because if I went to the north or if I went to the south, depending on which I needed the temperature for, I would change my armor.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to freeze to death, and I didn't want to overheat.
Look, that makes sense.
I just wanted to RP.
That makes sense. I approve of that. But hiding your armor makes it so that someone can't possibly you have no points of weakness, you have no points of danger, you have no points of suspense. You're just always comfortable, always fine. And That's not
Well,
how it should be.
not completely, because my character didn't have like a ton of health because she wasn't built that way. So that's why she wasn't like a melee fighter. She was always up high. Because
Yeah,
literally, it would only take a couple hits to get her down.
but did any HP come from the armor?
Yeah.
So if you were in the bath, would you have been one shot like Barry would have been?
No.
If you had no armor. If you had no armor. So you would still take 2
Oh,
shots
if I
or
had
whatever.
no armor?
Yeah.
I don't even know what my health would be if I had no armor.
Because you never took it off. Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
I would switch out headpieces sometimes, like if I had to wear the fur because I was in the cold or something like that. So it would adjust it sometimes.
I don't care.
If I needed to be more accurate, I would add another mask to make it more accurate.
I don't care personally, but I'm still gonna continue doing what I do, just as an example of the opposite. You know what I mean? Like, wear all your armor all the time and make it look different. That's cool. I don't care. I'm always gonna be no mask. I think no transmog, whatever it's called, because I think that's interesting. Yeah, if I were like an assassin or something, I don't know how you would figure out when you could attack, because there's no weakness. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, you can still catch people off guard, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, they're gonna have their gear on and they're gonna have their weapons on, but they're not gonna always see you coming. Especially if you're like halfway, I wouldn't say halfway across the map, but I got some good distance. Like you couldn't even tell that I was there, and I could like get you down to more than half health. Oh, I could kill Barry for sure with just one arrow.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Everyone could, because he's a retired old man, and that's the way it should be. Like, you should be able to kill him because he's not this superhuman person. I also, to tie into the server question and stuff, again, RP how you want. I don't care about your gear personally. I'm just like bringing it up. But do you think the server, because there is actual lore, if you scroll up in the lore channel, there's actual lore. Do you think that server story and stuff created an environment where characters like Barry didn't even make sense and probably shouldn't have been played?
Because like there's this big bad danger out in the world, and what are you doing with like no armor? No, because I think the great thing about Barry was that he just came here for retirement, and he didn't even realize like what he was getting into. Yeah. So I think that makes perfect sense. Like, he's just like, oh, I'm gonna retire here. It looks great or whatever, and all of a sudden he finds out that maybe he made the bad choice, but he's still gonna stick with it, which I think is awesome.
Okay, well,
just
thank
roll
you.
with it and go with it.
I considered leaving multiple times, but thank you.
I bet. I can only imagine.
The first week,
did you just?
Yeah. The first week, I was like, "This is not for me. I made a mistake. Joke's over. These people are doing things differently than I exist or whatever. I don't think I should be here. It doesn't make sense." Like, over and over again. Yeah. And my hair's jacked. Sorry.
It's okay. I can see it. But I'm glad that you stuck with it, because I think even with all that, especially with all that stuff going on and all the drama and all the fighting, I think that we needed characters like Barry to break it up.
Yeah, I know. That's what everyone says. But, like, I could have been, like, Zundis, who is a funny character and has this unique view, but is also strong and a fighter and all of that stuff. Like,
I know, but I think that it's still great that even though Barry didn't have, he went out there with his pink dress and he just did it anyway. You know what I mean? So to me, that is genuine RP. That's real. That's what that character would do, and I'm here for it. Totally.
Thank you. Cool.
You're welcome.
I agree.
I mean, I've seen all sorts of characters, and only a few times have I gone, "What are you even doing?" Like, but those were people that I knew were not taking it seriously, and they were just memeing, and it was just a bad time for everybody to be around them. But I never got any feelings like that in this case. It was, yeah, it was genuine.
Yeah, unfortunately, like there were a lot of situations where I thought I can't I can't do what I would normally do on Barry. And like the actual Mad Hatter would not care about your meeting at all.
No,
Like,
yeah,
and
yeah.
like, oh, the Queen of Hearts, the freaking Lord in the mask, none of that stuff is gonna matter. He's just gonna say whatever he wants, and ruin that scene. Personally, I think it would ruin the scene. So there were a lot of times when I was like, oh, I can't do Barry stuff. But as a normal human, Barry would have surely been recognized. Like he would have recognized the situation and stuff, is what I thought. So that's how I made it valid, I think.
Yeah, I mean, because he could still stand there and listen, but then right afterwards, he was just back to being Barry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess that I didn't ask it outright, but what do you think is the what?
What was the question?
No. That we covered that question. Don't worry. I'm
Okay,
sure whatever
alright.
that was, whatever that thought
Totally.
was.
I definitely knew what we were talking about there.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
All the time. Yep.
I think it was a steamroll, like, or a snowball from other questions all mixed together.
Okay.
Don't worry. I have a real
It's
question
alright.
that's like physical for everything we just said, or identifies that feeling or whatever. It is. What do you think the balance is between, or should be, between realism and playing the game? When RPing, specifically.
You mean playing the game, like the mechanics and stuff like that, and actually going
Yeah, the
gathering and
stats
stuff like
and
that?
yeah, all that stuff, like going to get iron for the 19th time or whatever
Oh my
you
God.
do.
My hands have cramped sometimes mining.
I don't know.
So
I don't know.
yeah, so but I've just played characters that were, mostly gathering and stuff like that, and not mostly gathering, but that's what I would do for the clan that I was with or whatever, because I don't want to say I don't have a lot of skills, but I'm here solely for the RP. So I'm like, okay, I'll go gather the stuff and you make the armor or whatever, or you go make the course. So this is me just doing my part. So I mean, would some of my characters necessarily do that? I've had characters do it in dresses before, in heels, and so no, it doesn't make sense. But unfortunately, because the setting that we're in, yeah, you kind of need to do some of that stuff to get by.
I did not, for the record.
I know. I think it was great how Barry convinced people to help him, and how they would just give him stuff.
Well, I mean, I've been doing that for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm practiced.
I know. I do usually play characters where I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna go over here and do this, and you guys come back, and I'll just I don't want to say take the stuff, because I do like gather resources and stuff like that, but for the most part, yeah, I just kind of act like the pretty girl and they give me things.
Nice. I am a professional leech. Thank you. Proud of it.
Yeah.
I'm down to teach people how to do it. Like, I think it's great, and I think a lot more people should do it. But you did mention like being in clans before, or groups, or whatever it's called, and also you mentioned that you're solo right now. What is would you recommend solo to people? And if so, how do you find RP? Because like you're alone,
Oh, I don't. You go out and you have to go out and look for it. I know that a lot of people. I've been in clans before where we just primarily RP'd amongst ourselves, and it got to the point where we weren't like, we didn't even leave our homes. You know what I mean? We didn't go out and do anything because we were just getting on for the day, and we would talk amongst ourselves, and nothing else was happening. Which to me, I don't. enjoy that. It's not stimulating, and why am I even showing up for the day if this is all we're doing? So playing as a solo character has its challenges because I can't be on to grind for 12 hours a day. I just don't have the time for it. So you have to kind of go into it realizing that, okay, I'm not going to have this, I'm not going to do that. Oh, that's the question. Was I really solo? I was in my clan by myself, but I had help.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So, carry on. Answer. Yeah.
But yeah, I just went out and looked for it. Like I would just go out and wander around, or if I was going out and collecting stuff, I would stop by the popular places where I knew people would be. I go to Clearshore, or I go to the Hunters Guild or whatever, and just hit like and then when I got so that she knew people, I would go visit them. I'd come to the tree house to see Miyako, or what I mean, I'd seek people out. So I mean, it's just something that you have to do if you don't have a lot of people around you. Is you have to go find it. Sometimes people would try to come find my house.
Yeah.
If they could find it, but that wasn't something that it wasn't necessary. Sandian's saying he did everything, and he's not lying.
I believe it.
He built my house.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So I've played solo characters and I've played group characters. But like I found I guess the question I'm trying to ask is like, are there any tips you have for finding RP as a solo person? Because there's a lot of people who think, oh, I have this idea for a character, it doesn't fit into anything else, and honestly I don't care, I just want to do this character. But you still want to have RP, right? Like you still want to go out and be involved. So do you have any tips for finding RP, or like methods?
I don't know. When I first started, it was RPing without a clan for the first time. Like when I first started, I was with a close friend, so it was really just like playing with my friends. So I would literally just go knock on doors. Like I'd go and be like, oh, there's a new house, but that was that character. That's what that character would do. She would just want to be like, oh, there's a new house, I want to know who that person is. But yeah, so you have to do put in the time to go seek that out, I think, if you're going to be by yourself, because otherwise I'd just be sitting there talking to myself all day, which isn't RP, and it's not fun.
I don't know what that's like.
I've done it. Like I will be in my house, be like, oh man, I gotta do this, or I gotta do that, or yeah.
Out loud?
Yeah.
That is the best thing you could do as an RPer. 100%.
Yeah.
Because someone will walk by at some point while you're doing that junk, and even if they don't knock or whatever, you're real to them, and that whole house is real to them, and that is the best thing I can recommend to people, is say junk out loud while you're doing random stuff.
Definitely.
Or hum, or sing, or anything.
Yeah, or I would even just like go up to like a guard and I'd just like start talking to them, like, why do you never like look me in the eye, or why are you always looking at my... Never mind. But yeah, it's just to me that's just fun.
Yeah, I agree. It's something that I noticed a long time ago in a very, very great RPer named Louise, and she's amazing, and seeing her do it and like how often she was in the character in the game just by herself making a scene, that's amazing. That's amazing junk. So I try and do it too when I can think of it.
Yeah, and I've also experienced people where, say I was trying to be sneaky and stealthy, but I fell off of something, so you can hear my character screaming as she falls, you know? So I've
Uh-huh.
had them before where they're just big, oh, what was that? Or that sounds weird. Where they're literally the only person around, but they will all of a sudden start talking and be like, oh, what is that there? That must have been nothing. And then they will start to be like, oh, or they'll talk to their birds or their pets or something like that. So yeah, I've definitely
Yeah.
experienced it. Like, oh my God, that's awesome. Like, you didn't
Yeah.
have to say anything, you didn't even have to acknowledge you heard anything, but it makes it more
Yeah.
real.
One recommendation from any of these interviews is that. Good job. I agree.
Yeah. So talking to myself has finally paid off in my life.
Yes. We
Yes.
did it. We found the
Got
application.
there.
You don't have to talk though. Humming or something works. Whistling sometimes, depending on how good
I
it is.
can't whistle, so I'd have to hum. Yeah.
I thought I could whistle, and then I tried to whistle while I was doing Barry, and I was like, maybe I can't whistle anymore. But
Yeah, I
can.
can't.
I can definitely whistle.
I mean, you could.
Yeah,
He has
Roscoe.
one of things though. He has his bells and he has his little horn and stuff like that. So it's all.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I was trying to make a question out of that, but anyway, I don't know what it is.
Okay. All right.
Do you think we have or what is, because I think there is no matter what is the level of responsibility that we have as players to check on other players in the community? You know what I mean? Like through RP or whatever.
You mean in character or out of character?
Both. It doesn't matter. Whichever.
I mean, I've definitely had my character go out before and be like, "Oh, I like this happened to this person, and maybe I should go check on them." If it's something that character would do, like I've played characters before where they just don't care, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I'm not gonna have her go ask, but I might out of character be like, "Hey, somebody went real hard on you last night. How are you doing? Are you okay?" I've actually done that before.
Yeah.
There was a season where one of my clanmates went really hard on somebody who was very passionate about his roleplay. She tore him to pieces.
Dang.
It was rough. It was rough to watch. It was rough to be there for. And I don't know if he's ever going to come back to RP. If he does, I don't think he'll approach it in the same way. It was pretty intense. That was some stuff that came out of character in character that I don't think should have happened. So I just sent him a message and I'm like, just lay it on me. Like, tell me what you need to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm okay with doing that because I'm like, this was not okay, and you need to talk to admins about it, and he did.
Yeah. I agree with that sentiment. The reason I ask you specifically is because you did come and check on Meiko after she wasn't visible for a while, and that's something that I know characters would do because it's their character or whatever, their friendship has built up or something like that, but also that sort of action is like, hey, I value the time we've had in the past. I'm checking on you and your character at the same time, and showing gratitude or whatever. So
actually, I think I went there knowing that she probably wasn't going to be around, but I'm just like, this is what she would do. Like, she's gotten used to going to visit her friends. I think it had been like several days. Like, I think you said it was like after the play and stuff like that. But like, we had been doing like battle after battle, meeting after meeting, and I was just like, I need a break from that, so I'm gonna go check on my friend. But also, I haven't like seen a letter from her or heard from her. I'm concerned. Yeah.
I agree. I think we should do it in character and out of character, like you said. This is something that I think is really cool, but like nobody knows, I guess, except I keep saying it. Well, I said it once. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The vampires that don't like Barry, there was like a group of people who did not like Barry as characters, and
really,
yeah. So basically, they would like say mean junk or whatever as Barry was walking away, or as they were walking away, or like they had this very standoffish air, and they would say junk that I could hear, but Barry probably wouldn't have recognized or heard, because
Yeah.
like distance and stuff. So Arrow and Tori, who I know from other servers, they were two of those vampires, and they actually said, like, out of character in person, our characters don't like Barry, but we love Barry.
Okay, good.
It's not the offense kind of thing that we mean as players, and so that's one of the things that really like kept me going, because if the character doesn't make sense in the setting, then I don't want to play it anymore, and if it seems
Right.
like other characters don't like him, I don't want to play it because it doesn't make sense, right? But they were saying we want this dichotomy and we want this tension, so I was like, all right, cool, I'll keep going, thank you, you know what I mean?
Well, and I think you need that sometimes. You know what I mean? Not everybody's gonna like your character, and I don't think everybody should. Especially if you're playing somebody like Barry, where some people would be like, "Oh my god, what is he doing? Like he's annoying me," or whatever.
Yeah.
But then, like out of character, they're like, "Oh my god, this is amazing."
Yeah, exactly.
I've had people message me before and be like, "Did I go too far when I said that, or when I did this?" I'm like, "No, keep doing it, please. I am fine."
Yeah, I think that if you're exceptionally cruel or something because your character is that way,
Yeah.
and you think, oh man, maybe I went too far, then I think it's worthwhile to say that to someone, like, hey, I'm just checking.
Absolutely.
Are we cool?
Yeah. I think that we sent similar messages back and forth, if I'm not wrong?
Yeah, but not about
Yeah.
about the next question that I'm leading into right now. Exactly.
Great. You're totally meant to do this.
How do you feel about relationship RP and like all of that junk?
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, if it happens, it happens. And I've had it sometimes where, I made a character who was, going to be in a relationship starting out. I've done it both ways, where I had a character and it just kind of happened. I've had characters where they were by themselves and that was okay too. I think you have to set boundaries, and you have to be able to say, this is what I'm okay with and this is what I'm not okay with. And if that other person isn't on board with that, then that's it. That's the end of that discussion. That's not happening.
Yeah.
You have to be able to tell the difference between what is happening in game and what's happening in reality, and it doesn't always happen for people that way. The lines get blurred.
I think Conan is much more prevalent on relationship stuff, probably because of the like sexual nature of a lot of the content that's just in the game.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it's the players. Who knows? But I also thought it was very forceful in a way that I hadn't seen in other games through RP.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of, I don't want to say a lot of, but it happens sometimes where just like, my character's by herself and somebody's like, oh, you should go on a date with so and so, or you should, be with this person. I was like, well, my character, because of who she really was, wouldn't necessarily do that. You know what I mean? She's here for a reason. She's doing her thing, and she doesn't really care about like relationships and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It might have taken a bit of a turn towards the end, but that's the way it was going, and that's where it would have, that it was a natural progression. But I'm not going to do it just to do it.
Right, of course.
You know what I mean? Which some people do, like, they're just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna date so and so now. Yeah.
So when you say boundaries and like set boundaries, let the other person know what you're cool with or whatever. In character, of course, but out of character as well?
Yes. As a female who plays games, I've had some creepy things happen. So yeah, I have.
Huh. Look at that on the list. Interesting. Another question on the list.
Okay.
Huh. Wow.
Uh-huh.
Literal quote from the notes. What's it like to be a woman in RP? Question mark.
It can be interesting at times. I've had like literal, messages sent like that the person was totally coming on to me and was like, "I just had a 5-minute interaction with you. What are you doing?"
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like I don't know who you are. Like I don't like I'm not here to just, do whatever you wanted to do between our characters. I'm not here for it. So I've been okay with saying before, like, you need to leave me alone. Like I'm not okay with what you just did and what you just said. But I mean, it's hard sometimes. Like I had one person who like followed my character home from like the town or whatever. I think he had just like started on the server that day. And he followed her home and he was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna be in your clan. Can I sleep in your room? Can I do this? Can I do that?" I was like, "No, you can't." And he did send me messages like out of character too, and I was just like, "This is not okay." And then I like told him, and my clan was not nice to him. Um, and that ended up ending kind of badly. But like I was okay with saying, "This is not okay. Like, what are you doing?" So
Yeah.
I've made some really good friends. I've had some really good interactions, but I've also like seen the other side of it where I was just like, wow, that I'm gonna need some time. I'm gonna need a day or so because that was really rough.
I have
Yeah.
no input. I am not female. Um, you you have any like things that you wish people would do concerning that, or
Just be respectful. I'm a real person. I'm not just an NPC in a video game.
ill people in
Yeah,
RP? What?
I am a real person. I'm
Okay.
not here to get. I'm also. Um, I'm not here to. How do I say this in the?
I don't know what you're gonna say, but you're welcome to say it because again, I'm not female and I have no input.
I'm not here to get laid, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm not out here looking for. I'm in a relationship. I'm not out here looking for whatever it is that you think I need in my life right now. Which, sometimes, the person is like, "Oh, it's definitely me." Like I'm the best thing that's happened or whatever. I'm like, "No, you're not. You need to stop."
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you. um, can I? Do you mind if I say what we said, sort of in DM in like a
Yeah,
summation
go for
or
it.
whatever?
Yeah.
So, like I originally when I started RP, I was like, no, I'm not gonna do RP like in a relationship. That doesn't like I'm not looking for that junk. But I did have a character that sort of like grew into it, and I thought, wow, this is really interesting, and it's something I've never thought about, and so like it was fun to explore, right? But I learned along the way that, like you said, you got to set boundaries outside and all that stuff. So Barry gave your character Viessa a collar which I had never seen. Like I put it on Barry and it's like a sash or something. Like so I was like, "Oh, that's weird. I wonder what it looks like on a female," because it said female only, and I thought it was more of a necklace. I had intended to give it to Nelly as a gift, but I just had it, and I did this thing where I just handed out like gifts, just because I don't care. None of it matters to me. So I was giving out gifts. So I gave it to your character, and then like the idea of collar and that sort of relationship dynamic is something that I had never intended ever to even consider, right? But as soon as it was there in front of me, I was like, I can give an example on stream of what I think and what I think is respectful and decent and stuff. And so that's the only reason I went back to it a couple times, just to say like, hey, here's what I think boundaries should be, here's what I think respect is, and all that junk. So then we spoke about it in DM, and I was like, first off, not what I intended. What are you cool with? Here's what I'm cool with. I'm pretty sure is sort of how that conversation went. And then once we knew, we had another discussion in character that basically mirrored that same discussion. And I think that is really a good, not to say like, hey, we're amazing, but I think that's a good example of what you should do.
We're pretty amazing.
In that specific instance, I will agree that we were cool. Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was Sandian's fault, by the way.
Because he
Had
knew what it
he
was?
not said, because he called it a collar, I was just like, oh, it's a necklace or whatever, and I wouldn't even thought, or my character wouldn't even thought that Barry would do something like that. But as soon as he said it and the words left his mouth, I was like, oh, I can't let this go.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
no,
there.
that's cool.
And because I am who I am, like I gotta mention it. It's like, Barry, did you mean to give me a collar?
Yeah. And that's like, that was interesting because you didn't, like, there was no force on Barry to be like, oh yeah, this is the situation I'm in now. It was like a question, and then I could have left if I wanted. Like, it was all open to me. So I think that was really well done also.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that it is also important to say that the same thing can happen for males. You know what I mean? I've seen things be forced on males too before. You know what I mean? So it can go both ways. I've seen women just force themselves on men. You know what I mean? And do things that, in character and out of character, that were just horrible. So yeah, I think it can go both ways. So I was like, I'm just gonna have respect for this, and I'm gonna play with it for a little bit because I am who I am, and I'm gonna not let this go, and I'm gonna mention it. But I would have never forced anything. Yeah.
Well done. Everything you said for the last like 10 minutes, well done. I agree.
Thank you.
What else is on this list here? Specifically, nailed it, amazing, well done. How do you think presence on Discord, presence in multiple communities, out of character affects our RP and stuff? If it does.
What do you mean by presence?
Like, so we're all in the same communities on Discord. Like, everybody's in the same ones. If you're in one Conan one, you're in another one and another one as seasons go, right? And then, like, I know people in this server that I knew from Atlas and, like, Arc and all sorts of junk, right? Like, I know these names from, like, years ago.
Sure.
But obviously they're not their characters, right? So, there are some douchebags in the real life that exist as douchebags, and you can tell, or you think they're douchebags, right? So how does that translate into RP and like actually having good interactions with characters, and like maybe avoiding RP and all that stuff?
I guess I'm okay with separating it. I also, like, just because I know who you are, like, in Discord, I'm not gonna remember that necessarily in character, that this is the person playing this person. It just, Sandian is a douchebag. So I'm gonna tell the story about the first time that I met Sandian, or one of the first interactions I had. He was a total dick to my character, which is what his character would have done. So and that was fine. So I didn't know him as well as I do now, so I was just like, well, this guy's just a dick. But he's not. That was just his character. So I guess you just gotta have to, you just gotta kind of go with it. And I've seen it both ways, where the person in character was really, really nice, but they were a complete ass out of character. That's not somebody I would ever talk to.
Right.
So I just try to I don't know, separate the two.
Do you think, like, at this point, I know specific players that I do not want to play games with at all. And sometimes I can tell who they are in character, and I try not to let that affect me, but I know it affects me. So, I just, like it's really difficult, right? Because
It can be, yeah.
we're leading like multiple stories, like the real story and then the story we're trying to write, right? So
I mean, and there have been times where somebody's been playing a different character, but I heard their voice and I'm like, I have no interest in getting involved with this
uh-huh.
because I know where it's going because I've had a bad experience with them in the past, and so I just, I'll have whatever interaction I'm gonna have, but I just know that I'm not gonna probably come back to that. So yeah, I guess that there are instances where, and that's just to protect me, to not put myself through that. Um, but yeah, for the most part, I try to stay open-minded. But if I've had, like you said, a bad interaction, and there's somebody that I'm not interested in doing anything with, then yeah, I guess I won't participate in that. I mean, if their character seems like it's going okay, I may try it, but I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's this like
I don't know.
optimistic thing in us, some
Like,
of
maybe
us
this
anyway.
time they won't be horrible. It could
Yep.
happen.
Yep.
Oh, I was wrong. Okay. Well,
I have thought these same thoughts. That is true. I try not to let it affect me also, but of course, I am a human.
it's hard. Yeah.
I'm gonna scroll up real quick and read this question because I didn't know what it meant, but also it's
Okay.
oh gosh. How did Viessa manage to keep herself composed in the presence of Vincent's physique? Oh, got it. I don't know who Vincent is.
Vincent's a vampire. He's part of Shadow's Embrace.
I don't know who that is.
You totally know who that is, right?
I don't. These like clan names and stuff,
Mhm.
like they don't exist necessarily unless one of the people in the clan says them. So I didn't know them. I don't ever look at the
Embrace is Lord Viserion.
list.
Okay. So it was just like their house. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So that was like a name that was thrown around a lot. How did I maintain my composure? I don't know.
Do you?
I mentioned it a lot. I was like, or I think that she would just mention. She's like, "Oh, you're wearing a shirt today. Congratulations."
One of those characters. Got
Yeah.
it. Got it. It's all coming together.
Yeah, but I don't know. But he was another one. I'm not going to go too much farther into that one.
Sure.
But yeah, she was okay with not, responding to some things there. Because like that's like something I'm like I'm not going to get into this. I'm not going to delve too deep into this because this is not something I want to get into.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You think that our characters are always like pieces of us, or can you have characters that are definitely not you?
My characters are usually pieces of me. Like pieces of me are in there. Because I don't know if I could do the complete separation. I don't know if I could play somebody that I didn't have something in common with, like my sense of humor, or obviously I'm not out there doing the things that they're doing. I can't.
True.
I can't.
True.
I cannot do that stuff. I cannot run that fast. Or run at all. I don't. But anyway, yeah, parts of me are in every single character. Like my sense of humor was definitely in Viessa. Not all of it because nobody wants to deal with that. Nobody needs all of that.
Well, what about you said you were in GTA? What like?
No, I've watched GTA. I've not.
Oh, okay.
GTA. Yep.
Gotcha. Do you think if you played GTA, you would play someone very similar to yourself, or would you try and like do a job you don't have and like be a person?
Oh no,
maybe
yeah,
you're not?
I totally would do something that I wouldn't normally do. I think that I was playing GTA Online. I have done that, and with friends and something like that. We were doing like I don't know. It wasn't really role play, but it's like I'm gonna make this character, and she's gonna be like this, which is totally not something I would ever be. But that was fun. But it's still like my sense of humor. Like I'm still gonna say like things that I would normally say, but Yeah, I think I would totally make somebody that would be the opposite of what I am. Yeah.
Cool. Do you play the same characters over and over again?
I have. I've like when I first started, I think I did almost a full year on my first character.
Oh my. Well, okay, actually, same. But
Yeah. It's just
Well-
because it worked and she progressed and it made sense for her to keep coming back. Um like I said, that server is no longer exists, so that character no longer exists because I would never bring her out of that universe, I guess, because that's where she belongs and that's where she ended. I
That's
did
cool.
bring one character from. I've played another one twice, but when I brought her back to a different server, I changed her a little bit. You know what I mean? I changed like a little things about her and adapted her to the settings and the surroundings. I'm trying to think of who else I've played. I think I've played another character for 2 seasons. She was a frost dragon.
Ooh.
Yeah, but this is the first time, like, obviously with Viessa, so.
Do you have these things that people set up that are like perma conditions or whatever? How do you address the idea of perma?
I don't ever go into it saying, I know people do that where they're just like, if this ever happens, this is what they would perma. I guess if something really severe happened and it made sense, I would be okay with it. Because I actually started this character as like a one-off character, and like I don't know if it's going to be more than one season. Like everyone's
Right.
like been on this server for a while. I'm not even coming. It's like more than halfway through the season at that point that I came in.
Right.
So I didn't know where it was going to go, and I was okay with like okay. And if nobody pays attention to her, that's okay too. That's fine. I'm just out here having fun.
Do you do the thing that I think I do where like if the story made sense and it's a good story, like an interesting story, then I'll perma,
Yeah,
that sort of
definitely.
thing? Yeah,
Definitely.
me too.
I would not have a problem with that at all. No. Like if it made sense and something catastrophic happened or it just was where it was going and it was her time, definitely.
That's dope.
Mhm.
I
I know a lot of people she still values her life and she still goes into things thinking, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't like fight this thing because there's no way I'm going to survive this." But
Yeah.
I know that some people get super attached to their characters and they're like, yeah, but I don't ever want this one to end. I'm like, well, you know what, it happens.
That's
And
true.
that's okay.
I think those are like comfort sort of characters because like I can do all the voices for all my characters, so if I just need to make a character, boom, I can do one of those easy, but I also don't do it. So yeah. I don't really play the same characters over and over again. My second character, I think I played for a very long time, but there was like some confusing like server issues that led to the next season and all that stuff. So I don't in my head think of it as multiple seasons, but it was.
I've had that before too, where it's happened to all of us. I think where this game updated and it broke some things.
Yeah.
So surprise, we're wiping tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoops. So I would probably consider that a new season, and I don't think that they did either. Because
Right.
I mean, if you wanted to bring a new character, that was fine. But this was just something that they needed to do to be able to keep the server, so it didn't crash when you tried to log in, which happens. Yeah, I've had a few of those. Cause
Conan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. I have played more Conan than I thought I ever would on this server by an amount, like a huge amount. I still don't think I'm a fan, but the more I play, the more I understand why people like it and stuff like that. So now I'm coming to understand it, I guess. I've run out of questions.
Okay.
So that's good. Do you have anything you'd like to discuss for me, or questions for me, or questions from them, or whatever? I say them, but they're like
Who's
everywhere.
them? They're everywhere.
They're all
I'm
around
getting
us.
paranoid. Who are they? Who are you seeing?
The chat. They're here.
They're everywhere.
Thanks for being in the play, by the way.
Yeah, I was back and forth on that. I just read Sandian's question.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
He's awesome. My boyfriend is awesome.
Wow, amazing.
Great content. I'm sure you like everyone wanted to know that. Sandian is my boyfriend, by the way, obviously. But
Take notes, everyone. Take notes. That's cool.
What were you talking about?
I don't know.
No, so yeah, I just want to say that I love the concept of Barry. The first couple interactions I had with him, I'm gonna be honest, I was like, what was? I think I know what he's trying to do. I'm gonna let it happen and just gonna see where it goes. And then it just like the more interactions I had, the more endearing he became, and the more I'm just like, I want this character to keep going.
But I didn't know what I was doing.
I'm just cheering for him, but that's great though. But you still did.
Yeah, true.
You still went for it, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, I have enough experience now where I can be like, this character is whatever character they are, and I believe it enough that it can exist, even if no one else believes. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean, I've
that's
had
it.
characters before where nobody's asked like anything about them. Like they have asked nothing about the backstory.
I don't do it actually, and I apologize.
You don't. I know.
Because
what can you tell me about Viessa?
So here's what I know about Viessa. Viessa is a ranger. Vessa's name is pronounced Vessa.
You just learned that, but okay.
No, I know it because I'm just repeating everything Roan has ever said to me. Viessa wears brown a lot. Viessa,
Oh.
That's what I got. That's what I got. I am not a respectful RPer. Sorry. I'm gonna guess Wood Elf.
Well, she's an elf, but yeah.
Yeah. But only based on like ears and hair color, not like I ever asked.
Yeah, so she's made to look like the girl next door, like approachable, somebody wants to talk to.
Yeah, Roan probably said a lot more than that. That's true, but you know what? Like that's what I can remember. So here's a question for you. I am a disrespectful human. I do not care about any of the junk that leads up to actual conversations. And in RP, that means that I never ask the basic junk. I just exist, and if you also exist, then whatever ties into each other, I'm gonna ask about. So I don't ask how are you, and I know I should, and stuff like that. That like is a way for people to start RP, because it's the same way you start conversations. I guess what are some tips for me specifically that you think good RPers do to get to the backstory and get to the more in-depth of the other character?
I don't think it's necessary to know like everybody's backstory. Like you could never go into it like expecting to know everybody's story, because there's a lot of characters and it's just not going to happen. There's just not time for that. I guess it's just when I don't know, when you meet that character that you've been able to have like a couple minutes and sit down with, you just kind of, I just find if I ask a couple questions and I listen, it'll get there eventually. You know what I mean? Like one question leads to another, and they'll open up a little bit, and then you'll tell a little bit about yourself, and just kind of go back and forth.
I agree.
Some of the best conversations or some of the best backstories I have found out was just me taking a moment to get away from a party because it was so loud and I was off to the side and I just needed to have a moment. Then somebody followed me out, which was Sandian's character, followed me out, and we just had his character's mute, by the way. It couldn't actually talk, so all of it was basically through notes or stuff like that. So we had a whole conversation with just him passing notes back and forth and making gestures. And just from that alone, I got like a good chunk of his backstory, and I was like, oh, there's something here, and there's something that I want to pursue. Um, so yeah, I've had it both ways where I've like looked like in passing, like saw somebody, and I was just like, I don't have the time for this, but maybe I can come back to them later if they're still around.
Hmm?
But yeah, it's just asking questions, and yeah, but in like real like life, you're not gonna go up to somebody and ask, "How is your day going?" or "How are you?" and always want the answer to that.
Correct.
So
Yes. But
I'm not gonna do it in character most of the time either. But sometimes I'll be like, "Hey, it's nice to see you," or what.
all that junk I said as Barry, I will say in real life. Like,
Yeah.
I'll say some junk. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't have anything to do with anything. And then whatever you say, I'm gonna take that. But here's what I think personally, and I've had a lot of conversations about how I approach things. I've done a lot of these interviews. What I think is that we go up and we do the stupid script that everybody follows in RP. Hello, nice house. Here's my name, whatever. And
Right.
I don't care about any of that junk. If I got your name and you were interesting enough, cool. But when I come back, I'm gonna knock on your door. I'm gonna leave you a note. I'm gonna like say some junk about other characters that I met along the way. And at that point, the second time when I come back, that's when I want whatever the additional thing is. So
Yeah. I don't
like-
want to hear your entire backstory the first 5 minutes that we met.
yeah,
I don't.
true.
And it's happened before. Don't lay that on me, because I've barely. I think I can remember your name. Maybe I don't know what you are, or I mean, I love the question. Like when you come up to somebody and they're like, "What are you?"
Okay, well, in my defense, for the record, I don't know any of these people like
Right.
as a race. Like I can't even. I only play humans up until this
Yes.
server. I'd only ever met a human, so.
And it's
In
okay
RP.
to ask, I guess, but I've had some people just come up like, "What are you?" Like in a really rude way. I'm like, I'm not gonna tell. Like she's not gonna tell you that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Take a look at me. I don't know.
Well-
Make your assumptions. I don't care.
I actually I had that stupid full conversation. Well, Croc wasn't human, yeah, I know, but I mean, the exceptions make the rule. Whatever. Like my point is that when I was taken to whatever that town name was, sorry homies, I don't remember. The one that was on the lake or on the river.
Clear Shore.
No. They had built like some town, and it was inhabited almost solely by elves. Candy ran it, and there was a bunch of wood elves and stuff. Anyway,
Okay.
I was taken there by a vampire that I recognized. This clearly, stereotypically, is a vampire. And then I was surrounded by all these people who all looked freaking different than anything I'd ever seen before, and some of them looked similar to each other, some of them looked radically different, and I stood in this like group of people and I literally went, "What the F are all you people?" Because I had no idea. And that was like fresh Conan. Like I had never seen any of
Nice.
that stuff before, so
Yeah.
I had to
It
do
can
it.
be interesting sometimes where you're just like, what exactly are you? And then they tell me, and I'm just like, no, I mean, what are you? Because I just
Yeah.
didn't understand what you just said.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, great. Kudos for you for coming up with that, vague reference to whatever. I don't get it, but awesome. You play that. if
You
that's
all
what you're
definitely know way more than I do. So just if you need to tell me, you tell me whatever it is, because I do not know. Personally.
I don't either. I try to do, like, if I'm making a character, I'll do the research and stuff like that. And over time, I've learned a bit more. But in general, I'll be like, what is that? What's a ganassi? Like, what's this? What's that? What's an elemental? I don't know what any of these things are.
You're
So
asking
I
the important
kinda have to-
questions.
Yeah, I kind of have to do the research and figure out what the hell it is because I don't know.
So Ewok saying that we knew a bunch of like alternate humanoid types, but in my defense, the best they could do was Atlas bodies, so they all kind of look human, so it didn't matter.
Oh, so you didn't have like transmogs and stuff like that?
No, none of that junk.
Okay.
Croc is the only one, and Croc is Roscoe. Roscoe played Croc, who was a troll or some junk, but he had green skin, so everyone knew he was different. But also, he crouched the entire time, so you could tell that player is different all the time, because he was so tall that when he crouched, he looked like, you know, a troll or whatever he was.
Okay.
So I think that he proves that most of the people I interacted with were just humans being pirates or humans being traders or whatever. So yeah.
Okay.
Swamp troll, right? Swamp. I knew there was another word. Sorry, man. It's been years. Come on. But what was cool is he brought his kids in, and like they tied into it, and they brought in this other race, and so they together collectively created this scene all the time wherever they went, where fantasy was tied into all the human stuff we were doing. This is very well done.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, mods are wild for sure.
Well, and what Torn's saying is like, I don't understand why I have to be friendly to creatures I hunt every day, which I think is something that happens a lot. Like, why would you necessarily be friendly with vampires if you're gonna hunt them down, or if you don't know what they are, or with something that looks completely bizarre to you? Why would you be friendly to that? Yeah, so I guess you would just have to play it like you think you would play it. Like, if you're not gonna be friendly to this person, maybe don't. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to do that.
So the dead are all my friends, the undead. But honestly, if they had looked like skeletons instead of fleshy undead people, I think they would have been much worse received. Because
you're talking about the dead house?
Yeah.
I love them, by the way.
Yeah, they're amazing, obviously.
Yeah, great.
If they had looked like skeletons, though, I think a lot of people would have aggressively been against them, because all the characters attack the skeleton people all the time. So I think they chose right, or they got lucky, or whatever.
I think they hit it, straight on, because I was like, the more I looked at their characters, the more I noticed, like, what her name, the female of the group, like, it's like her feet are like burned or whatever. They're like, their skin's like a little different, or you know what I mean? I'm like, oh gosh, the detail that they put into it was amazing.
I agree.
But yeah, that's why the first interaction that my character had, I'd seen them on streams before, like your stream, and I think on theirs I watched it. But the first interaction that Viessa had with them, I think they were inspecting the carriage or whatever by the Mages Guild, and like she comes up on them and they're like looking at it, and then they tell them why they need to like check it, because they're afraid, this axle looks like it needs a little bit more grease. So that was okay. But the more they progressed and they explained things to her, she just kind of started backing away. Like more towards the carriage, and she was just like, okay. And then when she just like pulled out when offered the chewing gum after saying, I just keep this stuffed inside of me, would you like some gum? She's like, I've just suddenly become very busy and I need to go. And she just like hopped on the carriage, and they're like, oh, do you want to take this carriage because we can get the next one? I'm like, yeah, I'm leaving now.
That's dope. Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah, it was great though, where she's just like, all of a sudden, I just remembered something I needed to do. Yeah, Gertrude, she was amazing.
That's a good way to be clearly against, clearly negative on an interaction, but also kind and considerate of other people, right? Because you didn't just run, you didn't just leave, you offered an RP reason and like the discomfort. I think that's really good, and something we should try and do.
Yeah, I think that I was just like, no, I don't want your gum. No, thank you though. That was nice of you. But oh wow, look at the time. I really need to be somewhere right now.
Yeah. Well done overall.
Like, I left that whole experience just laughing. I was laughing so hard. It was great.
I think, well, as Gob said yesterday, actually, all of these ended me having to pee. I have to pee. We've run out of questions. Personally,
yes, go to the bathroom.
I will. is there anything you'd like to say to like anyone who's currently, RPing with you, or people who are looking at RP servers like we did, and haven't started yet but are thinking about it?
I would just say get out there and try it. I'm a very introverted person. Like this is not something I would ever do in my real life. You know what I mean? That's going out and talking to people is intimidating. But the more I got in my character and I walked around, as her and I got the feel for it and the game mechanics too, because that can be daunting at times. The grind can really get to you. You just try it out and see how it goes and just kind of be okay to roll with it, I guess. And be okay to step away from it if it's not working and come back and try another character or just take it a different way. I think you have
Yeah.
to be flexible with it.
I agree with that. My first character was me, with a little bit of an accent because I had no idea how to play the game. But after that, like I just learned an RP as myself, and then I came back and hit it with a different character that I was trying something new with. So I agree, the idea of like, okay, I'm done with this. Let me try a new character. Let me try a new gimmick. Let me try a new something. That's a good point.
And that's okay to do. If it's not working, I've always said to people, if you know that your character is coming to an end or you're not having fun with it, then, try something else. Because if you're not having fun, why are you even out there, doing this?
I agree with Alina also, even though, spoiler alert, I'm gonna ask her the same questions, but she's welcome to she's welcome to answer there as well in chat. I agree. If you have to start with yourself, just do yourself but a little bit different so that you have the separation.
Yeah, definitely, because that's what I did. Like, my first character was literally me, like running around with my friends.
Yep.
Yep.
I agree. Oh, sorry, Meta. My bad. Awkward.
Oh, meta. Oh.
Dang it. Yeah. Thank you very much for your time. I'm gonna set up actually for another interview, and while I do that, I'm gonna go pee. All right.
Sounds like a good idea. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for your answers. Thank you for your thoughts. I appreciate them. Like I said, I think you're a different person and you have different, well, obviously you're a different person, but like you approach things differently, and I think you're good at what you do, so that's why I wanted to like get the info and stuff. And that's the whole point of asking all these people questions. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. I would normally raid or something, but I'm just gonna awkwardly end the conversation, I guess.
That's fine too. That is fine.
All right, cool. I'll see you at Discord and stuff. You're great.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
So, bye.
How'd the call go? Excellent. 5 stars. 5 stars.